So let's all grab a blanket. First off, we need one or two, depending on what supplies you have in your home or workplace. So go ahead and take the blanket and fold it over. We're going to come into a simple seated pose. I just like to elevate a little bit in here. You can sit on the ground if you like. So taking that blanket or a cushion underneath your hips and crossing. You can cross your ankles if you want, or you can separate, have your ankles in front of each other, sitting up nice and tall here. We are going to work on a 3-part breath this morning, and this is really great to start the morning with. It helps focus on what's happening within the mind and the body here, and it gets to slow it down a little bit. Breath is so important, and if you think about who gives you breath, God gives us breath and life and focus, and so it can be very spiritual, this breathing exercise. So here we're going to roll the shoulders down, just relax the shoulders, give yourself a nice little head bobble, and then find your sits bend heavy into the earth. And we're just going to breathe from the belly. So take a hand to your belly here, and we're going to inhale, let the belly expand. And then exhale, draw the belly in and lift up the diaphragm. Find some belly breaths. Inhale. Let the belly expand, filling the belly area with air. And then exhale. One more belly breath here. Just feeling the expansion through the belly and the breath. Finding that connection. And if you want to shut your eyes down, you can go ahead and do that as well. Now we're going to move up into the rib area. So what we'll do is we'll inhale through the belly. Take a little bit more of an inhale through the ribs. And then exhale it out. Pulling the belly in. Inhale through the belly. Inhale through the ribs as you start to expand and fill the rib cage area. And then exhale, draw the belly in. Bring the ribs back in. Bring the belly back in. One more of those breaths. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the third part to this breath. So we're going to inhale belly. Inhale a little bit more ribs. Inhale a little bit more through the chest and the collarbone. Rising, lengthening through the spine. And then as you exhale, keep the length in the spine. Pull the belly in. Soften the air out of the chest. Knitting those ribs, pulling the belly in, softening through the shoulders. And then inhale through the belly. Fill the ribs. Fill up through the chest. Breathe through the backside of your heart. And then exhale. Bringing it right back down. Still keeping length in your spine. Let's try 3 more of those breaths. Find your own rhythm of breath. If you're not sure if you're doing it right, take your fingertips to your rib cage and start to breathe in. One more. Awareness of this 3-part breath. And as you release, placing your hands into your thighs, shutting down your eyes, just coming into a place that's your connection to your mind, body, and soul. So coming into your normal rhythm of breathing. Take a moment to feel the connection with breath. And maybe you choose here that connection with God and breath. Starting to soften the thoughts, letting the thoughts in your head just flow from one to another. Start to pay attention to where your body is touching itself. Open your ears to hear what are the surrounding sounds. And then as you recognize all the sounds around you, coming back into the breath. Just recognizing what's around you, but coming into the breath of the body, the mind, and the soul. Finding peace with sounds around you. Perhaps even comfort. Take note of the temperature in the room. Or maybe you're like me outside, feel the breeze and the sun on your body. Here's a good place for you to start to think about why you're on your mat today. Maybe it's just you need to move. You need to be connected to another voice. Try something different. Perhaps you're dealing with a little bit of anxiety and fear of the unknown, and you just come into presence, finding this practice to be something that brings you into the moment, into the now, letting yesterday be yesterday, and letting the worries of the next hour be there. Just come into connecting to the breath that God gave you. Pray us into our practice. Father, we just all come here as we are, you know, our needs and our wants, and we lift those up to you. Strengthen our spirit, give us focus and mindfulness on the present. Help us, Lord, let this flow help our bodies be healthy and whole. We seek your presence. So let's come into butterfly pose, bringing the soles of the feet. We're going to open up those feet a little bit, those metatarsals. Hopefully you've not been wearing so many shoes. I certainly have been wearing open toe shoes a lot more. So open up your fingers and let's lace our toes with our fingers. So we're going to open up the feet just a little bit here. And here you can round from the shoulders. So bringing the shoulders in, lifting up through the belly, drop your chin to your chest. And sliding those fingers between your toes. Take a few breaths here. Now, if it's super uncomfortable and you start gritting your teeth, loosen up the grip. Bring it out to the tip of the toes. Do some circular motions with your fingers so that you have some ease in the tension in your feet. You can take the tips of the fingers and push in towards the ball of the feet, curling the toes in, and then bringing them out. Move around a little bit here. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. Find that nice full breath, filling the lungs full and exhaling out completely. And as you exhale, let the body just relax into that forward fold. Finding the restoration through the breath. Inhaling, and on the exhale, release all the tension in your body. Let the body gently open up by its own weight. Sitting into your thoughts, allowing yourself to process your thoughts, and then reconnect with the breath and coming into the body. What are you doing? Try not to disengage with your breath and your body. Your mind and your body and breath are all connected. So you're going to oscillate between thinking and breathing and connecting. So we want to make this all one. So we're thinking about the breath and connecting to the body. Bringing all the focus into restoration. And then into release as you exhale. What is it that you need to release? Only you know the answer to that. 3 more breaths. And then start to release those fingers from the toes. Take your thumbs to the inside of the feet. Start to massage the bottom of your feet, moving up to your heel. Massage your ankles and your shins, creating some energy through the legs. Come up to your knees. Bring the knees together. Straighten those legs. Go ahead and massage your quads. Find those hip muscles, massaging down and bringing that energy back up. Massaging down, and maybe you go all the way to your ankles, to your toes, and touch your toes and bring all that energy right back up. Do a couple more sensations through the legs, creating some energy throughout the body. Nice. So with those legs extended, we're going to lift that, pull up from the lower belly. Sit up nice and tall. Sits bones down. Roll those shoulders down and back. Right leg up. Bend that right leg to that left knee. Try not to pull it in. We always want to pull it in. See what your flexibility is. Lift it up. Bring it in. Sit up tall. We're going to twist. We're going to keep that foot pressed into the ground. We're going to twist to the right. So right hand behind the back. And just, you can hug the knee or you can twist. Tricep to the outside of the thigh. Just twist over to the right. Take some breaths. Now I have short arms. I think I'm going to actually use a block today. If you get there and you need to change things up a little bit. Take your mind to your body. Where do you feel this twist? It's not a super hard twist. So just remember, it's about 70 to 85% of a twist. We're not going to wrench it 110% because we're going to hold it for a bit. So take some time here just to hold it, to breathe into it. Bring your mind back to your body. Maybe shut down your eyes. Listen to your breath. Our body is always talking to us. So are you available to hear the message? To adjust or to be still? Here in the yin practice, trying not to fidget can sometimes be the challenge. So trying to hold this and taking your mind to parts that might feel uncomfortable and just taking the breath there, and on the exhales releasing what is uncomfortable. Now if something hurts, you're always going to come out of it. Three more breaths. Coming back into your body, using the breath, asking God to come into your physical body. And start to release. Bring it forward. Now we're going to take the right ankle over the left thigh. We're going to flex that left foot. Sit up nice and tall. So if you're rounding in that lower lumbar, I want to see if you can lift up through the breastbone. So lift up through the breastbone. So it's going to lift your lower belly at the same time. And then fold from the hip crease here. Here is where you can take a pillow over. You can even take a block or a blanket underneath that thigh. You can take a towel underneath your ankle if you need to that thigh muscle, but we're folding it forward here. Here's a place where you can release your glutes. So it's asymmetrical here. We're just sitting it in kind of a figure 4 to begin with, just for about 7 to 10 breaths, depending on your rate of breath. Utilize that breath and exhale, releasing all the tension, letting the body just open itself by its own weight. Being aware of where you feel the stretch and the opening. Two more breaths. And start to roll it up. So now we're going to take knee on top of knee, bringing the heel, right heel to that left hip. So bringing that there, and we're going to fold it forward from here. Now we're folding it forward in a different way. The knees are on top of each other, thighs are connected, best of your ability, right? I am able to do it, but not all of us. If you have a knee replacement, remember that if you hyperextend, maybe placing a towel underneath that left knee so there's a slight bend in it, and just fold this forward. We're going to hold this for 2 full minutes. So taking some time here just to fold forward for 2 full minutes. Take your mind to where you feel it. You might feel it a little bit different. You might feel it the same. You can take a block between your head and your knee if you like, if you want more support for your cervical spine. Four more breaths. Full breaths, full exhales, getting all the stale air out. Start to roll it up nice and slow. Nice job. So let's take the legs back out straight. Give them a nice little shake. And let's lift that left leg up, bend that left knee. Find your own flexibility here. And we're going to twist. So sit up nice and tall, left hand behind the hips, right tricep to the outside of the thigh if that's for you, or you can just hug and twist. Completely your choice. Now, some of us have a little bit more fluff. Maybe you just lift your belly up and over to get it to the other side of that quad muscle. But we're holding here for just about 2 minutes. Come back into that place if you feel something that's a little uncomfortable. That's where we get to choose to breathe into it, right? Life isn't always comfortable. But when we take those nice breaths of restoration and nice full breaths of releasing what makes us uncomfortable, we find a little bit of peace. And if you struggle with that, maybe you just meditate as we move on what's the payout in not releasing and not being able to hold in that uncomfortable, not trying to analyze too much, but just asking God to show you why there's not a release, why you struggle there. Because God's always shaping us and molding us, yes? We are clay in His hands when we choose to be moldable. So maybe today that's something you are going to choose to do later today or right now. Where's there tension? In your jaw, in your shoulder, in your legs? See if you can unhinge that tension using your mind and your breath. And start to bring it forward. Nice. We're going to take that left ankle on top of that right thigh. Remember, you can always put a little pillow or a towel there for that ankle. Sitting up nice and tall here. We are going to hinge from the hips, so lift up through the breastbone and bring it forward. We stay here for about a minute, just finding ourselves connecting to the body. Let the breath move. Let the exhales, let the body just use itself to open itself up as your top body gets heavier with every exhale. And every inhale is a restoration, is a peaceful breath. Three more breaths. See if you can take those exhales and really get into it. Get into your body. Releasing the thoughts of perfection and how far you can go. Maybe you're not down very far, but you have a great stretch. Rejoice in what you're feeling. That your body is opening all on its own. Start to roll it up. Now we're going to bring the knees on top of each other. And one side might feel completely different than the other. Sitting up nice and tall, breastbone up. We're going to fold it forward once again. And we're going to hold here for a good 2 minutes. Might feel a little bit different. Recognize if there's a lot of pressure behind the back of the knee. Roll up a hand towel or a bath towel and stick it underneath the leg. If your knee doesn't bend this way, straighten it out a little bit. Cross the legs, then fold it forward. Play around with your body. Coming into that breath, feeling it from the bottom of your belly, through your ribs, through your chest to the crown of your head. And on the exhales, we're releasing the air. We're releasing tension, strife, perfection, comparison. And then we breathe in connection. What is your body telling you? Too much? Not enough? Just right. Listen to what your body's saying to you. Receive the message. Three more breaths here. 3 more opportunities just to either go a little bit deeper, relaxing, working on releasing tension, or if you're in so deep, you forced your in so deep, you have tension, maybe you use your fingertips and you lift up a little bit, allowing the tension to ease off. Always finding the best place for you today. And then start to roll it up. Nice. Release those legs out. Give them a nice little shake. And we're going to come onto our belly into Sphinx pose. So you can use your blanket here if you like. I do like my blanket underneath my ribs. So you can take the edge of the blanket to the lowest rib as you lower down towards the ground, bringing your elbows underneath your elbows. Elbows underneath the shoulders, sorry. So palms down. So if this is a lot for you, slide those elbows out. First, recognize where your body is at today. Extend through the feet and reach your tailbone towards your heels. Okay, find that. And then, as you find ease in your lower back, start to walk the elbows underneath the shoulders a little bit higher. So rising. So we're going to keep this kind of an active Sphinx pose. A lot of times we bow our heads. So today we're going to rise up. In the midst of everything we're all going through, we're going to rise up. We're going to trust in the plan. We're going to trust in the ways of the Lord and trust in our body. So taking some breaths here. It's about 20 breaths we're going to take. So come into counting your breath, being present with the inhales and the exhales, and let go of the glutes, maybe point those toes a little bit, and then soften the point and the activity in the legs. Try not to slouch here, pushing the elbows into the and bone, top rib bone. Here's a great activity here with the breath. You can breathe into the front part of your breath, into the lungs, into the front part of your heart, and then exhale. Now breathe into the back part of your lungs. And exhale. Recognizing where you're breathing into your body as you're here. Now remember, if you feel tension rising, what are you going to do? You're going to walk those elbows out, soften it just a little bit, draw those shoulder blades back, rise through the crown of the head. We're almost there. Six more breaths. Now you can stay here for 5 more breaths, or you can come into seal pose, pulling your hands back, elbows back, lifting a little bit higher, finding out what your lift is at. Let your hands go out. Hands are a little bit wider than the mat. So making it wider. A lot of times seal pose is really narrow, but I find that we get a little bit more stretch through the pecs when we lift up a little bit wider with those hands. So you choose where you want to go here. Are you squeezing your glutes when you lift? Lift up through the lowest part of the belly. Reach your tailbone down as you're stretching towards the end of your mat. Rise through the crown of the head. Almost there. And then begin to lower down slow as you came in, intentional as you came in, lowering it down. Hands are going to come underneath your shoulders. We're going to press it up and take our hips all the way towards our knees. Bring the knees underneath the hips and then take it back, knees together, child's pose. So it's okay if you have a little bit of fluff here. Just take your pillow, your block, or your blanket, take your forehead, and then bring it. If this is still uncomfortable for you, by all means, open up these legs, but let the tailbone come down. See if you can curl into a rounded back here, maybe taking the hands behind the back. Find out what form is best for you here. Taking those breaths of restoration and awareness. Where do you feel this most in your body? And breathe into that area. And start to bring those hands forward, coming into that tabletop form. We're going to do some dancing lines. So we're going to find some movement. You can walk the hands forward in front of the shoulders and take the hips over to the right. Swing them towards the heels and bring them over to the left, softening your hips down. So now we're getting some energy into the spine, the hips, and the body. So coming in here. Breathing into these movements and coming in the other direction. And then coming back into tabletop, knees underneath hips, hands underneath shoulders. We're going to do some cat-cow breathing. So inhale, tailbone rises, belly drops, heart comes forward. Just take a moment to pause there in that cow form and just recognize what's happening here in your body. You can take a few breaths as you come into cow. And then when you're ready, flow into cat. So tucking your tailbone down, rounding and lifting through the lower back, pressing your middle back towards the sky or your ceiling, pressing through your heart space, chin to chest, lift the belly up. Take a few breaths here, recognizing what you're doing, pressing yourself away from the earth so your hands are completely connected, feeling your feet and your shins. Now start to breathe. Inhale, come into cow. Exhale, come into cat. Inhale, come into cow. Find your breath. One more cat pose. And then we all meet into tabletop. So tabletop is always a very active form. Belly in. Soften the heart down. Lengthen through the spine. We're going to tuck our toes right here and lift our hips up, pedaling one leg and then the other, coming into that down dog. Reaching the hands forward, drawing in through the belly. See if you can just soften. We're going to pedal. So pedal as much as you need to, bending one knee, pressing the other heel into the ground, and switch to the other. Just being aware of what parts of your body are opening. And then walk halfway up and walk halfway back. And we're going to separate those feet hips distance apart. We're going to lower it down into a yogi squat. I'm going to roll up a blanket. I'm going to face you. So rolling up a blanket, making those feet nice and wide. If you have it, set it down. Now, if you don't need a blanket, set those heels down and rise through the crown of the head. So we're lengthening up through the spine here. Just taking some breath just to breathe. You can bring your hands to your heart. You can have that conversation with God here. I have been sitting, I need to speak for myself here, a lot more than I normally do. So when we sit a lot and we're not as active as much, sometimes we don't eliminate as well. So this form is really good for elimination. So coming into this form. And so I'm just going to say it. That's why the squatty potty is so popular, right? Because this form really helps us regulate our elimination. So taking some time here just to breathe into this. You can bring your palms up and drop your head here. Just reaching your tailbone down towards the ground. If you need to be humble here, if this is hard, coming into the breath, finding peace in something that is not so easy here. And if you know me, you've taken my classes, you know this is my nemesis pose. This is the form for me that I struggle with the most. That's why I use a blanket. I modify because putting my heels to the earth really is hurting me, and I need more time in a yin practice to hold more, to allow myself to have confidence and freedom in this form. So if you're like me, don't worry about take those heels as high as you need to, but rest them on something. Where's your mind? Come back to that breath, easing into the heels, maybe taking a few rocks. 4 more breaths here. And start to come out. Hands down towards the ground. Lift the hips up. Coming into dangling pose. So your feet are going to stay nice and wide. You can set the blanket away and just grab opposite elbows. Bend the knees. Let the head just hang. We're going to take 1 minute right here. Take those exhales. Letting your torso just hang. Shaking out your head maybe. Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your legs, your feet, your hips, your head, your shoulders? Taking your mind there. Fingertips to the earth and heel toe your feet together. Lift up high into your toes. Get your heels over your toes. Come into a ball. And then tuck your chin into your chest, lift your belly up, let your shoulders round down and forward. Walk yourself to the right. Just finding some movement here. Walk yourself center. Walk yourself to the left. Walk yourself center. Drop the knees, keeping the toes tucked. Shoulders over hips. We're opening up the feet and stretching the calf muscle here. Now, if this is hard for you, you're going to take your hips over your knees, okay? You can take a blanket, that same blanket you have, and place it on top of your calves. Just opening up here, just finding some breath. Let's interlock those fingers behind our back and lift up through the heart, rising up again. In the midst of this beautiful day, we choose to root into the truth and the ways of the Lord, and rise up. Be an encourager. Be a lover. Be a bright light for somebody who's desperately seeking it. Listen with your ears to the Holy Spirit today. And as you listen to your breath, remember that God breathes life into you. Can you sit a little heavier? Can you bring your shoulders back a little bit more? Can you rise up? Long spine, knuckles towards the ground. Pull those ribs in and lift up through the crown of the head, chin level. Release those hands and inhale, hands together in front of you. Interlock those fingers. Take those hands to your heart center and exhale, push air away. Inhale, bring those hands up. Exhale, hands down by your side. Bring it up into prayer. Inhale. Exhale, push away. Inhale, hands rise. Exhale, hands down by your side. Inhale to prayer. Exhale, push away. Inhale, hands rise. Exhale, hands to your side. Let's do one more. Inhale, hands to heart center. Exhale, push away. Inhale, hands rise. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Release those toes. Get off of those toes. Give those feet a nice little tap. Tap, tap, tap. Give an ankle circle here. Point and flex. Ankle circle there. Over here. Over here. Ginger. Over here. Thank you. And let's come to our bumps. So now you're going to take your blanket, your bolster, or your blocks, whatever you want to use, okay? We're going to roll it down, bring the knees into the chest. Bringing your knees into your chest, find yourself just rocking side to side. Find your hips, feet to the earth, hips distance apart. See if you can heel toe those feet to the, squeeze those thighs together, and press the lower back into the ground as you pull the belly in towards the spine. Okay, so heel toe those feet out, hips distance apart. I'm going to use a block here so I can demonstrate. Press the feet into the ground, lift the hips, and take the block underneath the, not the cushy part of the glutes and not the lower lumbar. It's right in between. You're going to find the upper hip bones, and you're going to place the block right where those upper hip bones are in the back, and you're just going to hold right here. This is a restorative bridge. So now we're going to open up the body a little bit. See if you can trust this block. If you don't have a block, you're just going to place a blanket there. Take your mind to where you feel it. Maybe you feel it in the front part of your pelvis. You can start to extend one leg out. So I'm going to extend the right leg out. Keep that left foot connected to the earth. See if you can take an exhale and get heavy here. Where do you feel? Now, if you feel like you're getting an extension through your hip socket, take that right hip back and then let that leg come down. Square up those hips a little bit and then just rest here. back into the breath. The inhales are a hold. You're going to hold and be present with what's happening with your body, your mind. And then on the exhales, we're going to move. That's when you release a thought, release a muscle or tension. Maybe it's an emotion. And I hope and pray, slowing down in this type of a yoga, you start to feel the connection that you are all one. Emotions aren't separate from the physical body. They do make our physical body react. And our thoughts control our emotions. And our breath has so much power that it can give us peace, or it can ramp it up and give us focus and strength. So it's all connected. So recognizing all the parts and how they work together and how you're able to connect to it all at once. So bend that right leg, and we're going to extend that left leg. So pressing that right foot into the ground, extend that left leg. So same amount of time on that left side. Still taking the mind to the body, connecting. Utilize that breath and release. On the exhales, remember it's the movement, it's the release. And the inhale, it's the presence. And then what do you do with what you're aware of is up to you on the exhale. Find those last few breaths here. What are you going to do with them? Where do you feel this? And start to bend that left knee up. So feet are into the ground. You can hold onto your block or onto your blanket, or even if you're just on the ground and you're doing this, bring both knees up to your chest here. And you can feel that in the lower back. Extend the heels up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky, and just take a few breaths here, just letting your legs be the opposite direction. And they're straight. Can you let all the weight from your toes, through your feet, through your heels, from your legs, all the way down, come to your pelvis? And then what do you do with all of that energy? Can you exhale it out? Can you let your feet be really light? Now start to bend your knees, bring your knees into your chest. Lower your feet back down towards the ground here. Pressing your feet into the ground, lift up through your hip. Take that block out. And now take that right knee in and do some circles with that right knee, that right hip. Both directions. Right foot down towards the ground. Take that left knee up. Do some circles with that left knee. both directions. Lower the feet down, extend the feet out. Maybe you just stay here flat onto your mat. Just finding that length through the body. Taking a few breaths in stillness. Finding that breath that we started with as you lay down and you find that 3-part breath. Let the belly rise, taking the hands onto the belly. And then exhaling out. Next breath, inhale through the belly and through the ribs. And then exhale it out. Now taking it all the way up through the chest. Inhale through the belly. Expand the ribs. Lengthen through the spine as you lie down. Fill the chest cavity. Press the back into the ground through that inhale. And on your exhale, draw the diaphragm up. Following that breath out of the chest cavity, through the ribs. Bringing the belly towards the spine. Do 3 more breaths like that. Inhaling through the belly, through the ribs, through the chest cavity, lengthening, keeping the length, exhaling. After that last breath, coming back into your normal rhythm of breathing. I'm going to read in Ephesians 2 as you lie in your stillness. Maybe you come to a place where your ears are open and your body is out of the way. And in the last verse of Ephesians 2, it says, "And in him you two are being built together to become a dwelling in which God lives by his Spirit." And in him you two are being built together to become a dwelling in which God lives by his Spirit. So maybe you settle in and just breathing in the Holy Spirit today into your mind, body, and soul, and allowing God to recreate the fibers of your mind, your thoughts, your intentions, and your physical fibers, your tissue, your heart, your lungs. Inviting him in this meditation, finding stillness to seek and to know. I challenge you to stay here in this stillness for another 10 to 20 breaths, to find peace and to know who you are and whose you are, to listen, to be still, to feel restored and at peace. I wish you all the best today. Walk off your mat being brighter than you stepped on, encouraging others, loving others, just as others love you. Receive the love, accept it, and rejoice. Peace be with you as you go through this day.